What's good, y'all? It's your boy Biospider 3.0, keeping the action going with the SH Figuarts, Ahsoka Tano from the Ahsoka show. Alright, man, so here we are getting into the full review of this awesome figure. Now, you're probably looking at it right now and wondering, like, yo, what the heck happened to her face? I promise that she's all good. She didn't lose her face in battle or anything like that, alright? Her face didn't get sliced clean off, I promise you. That is just to show you guys the engineering of how her face works, because again, she comes with alternate face plates, not actual faces, so you're not going to swap them out like you normally would with another figure, right? Just like pop it off the ball peg and put the new face on. This one actually has face plates, and this is actually my first figure like that has alternate face plates instead of swappable heads. And so I was a little bit worried about changing those out at first, but it actually is a very simple process, and I'm going to show you guys how that works. So I figured I'd start the video off just by showing you that, which is why I don't have any face on her at the moment, but just so you can see how the engineering works. Kind of move her lightsaber out the way here. But yeah, you can see she's got like these kind of like little cavities up here at the top of her head, and there's also like one up here, might be a little hard to see, but like that little, like basically right in the center of like where her leku is at the top, just below that little square, that is also like a cavity. And so what you do is put her back here. This is the stoic head that she comes with out of the package, so you can see very, very beautifully detailed, very nice likeness to Rosario Dawson in there. Great paintwork. But anyways, on the back of this, so these are two separate pieces. She has like this little, headphone looking piece that goes like over her head, and then she has the actual face plate itself that is a separate piece. But if you look on the back of that, you can see where it kind of like fits into those cavities. And then you have the, again, like the kind of like headdress or headphone piece right here that has, its own like little acrylic piece that keys into those cavities that we saw. So you got two down here on the side, and then one up here up top, right? They're clear. And so I found that the easiest way to get the heads on is to basically kind of have both pieces together at the same time. So you want to kind of put this little headdress piece over her head like so. Let's see, is this the right way? Yeah, this should be the right way. Yeah. So you want to kind of have that like already over her head, and it should, fit on there like really nicely, pretty snug. Like her head is made to be pretty much the perfect shape for this, right? And so kind of have those back together like that. And then you just take the figure and basically just line up those, all those little pegs that are sticking out into those cavities. And it should go in pretty nicely once you push it all the way in. And then the headdress should line up pretty well with her leku at the top. And there you go. And yeah, it's not gonna like snap in or anything, but you can kind of tell like once it's in there, it's gonna look like very flush and very, put together. So there she is, like with the stoic head on that she comes, out of the package with. And yeah, beautiful, beautiful likeness again to Rosario there, bringing her in slightly closer for a, better look. Look at that, man. Really, really nice. Love that. I think SH Figuarts definitely did the best with like her overall likeness. The Black Series, they did pretty well. I would say their first release was like a little bit rougher. The one like where she has this look like in the black. Their first release wasn't the best as far as likeness, but the Peridia look, like where she's like in the white outfit, looked a lot better. And so, but yeah, I feel like SHF has a really good likeness. The Mafex likeness, it's a little rough. I'm not gonna lie. The Mafex release was, based on her Mandalorian appearance. I said appearance, which was mostly the same as like in the Ahsoka show. I think there are like maybe subtle differences here and there, but it's like mostly the same look as this. But yeah, their likeness just wasn't quite as good as the SHF one. It was like, it doesn't have as much likeness to Rosario, that's for sure. So that's part of the reason why I went for this SHF release over the Mafex, which I know is surprising because a lot of times I tend to go for Mafex over SHF. But like I said, with Star Wars, it definitely depends. Some releases, some companies do better than others. So like sometimes Mafex does better than SHF with likeness and, you know, certain things like accessories and all that. So, you know, I watched several reviews before I picked up this Ahsoka, and I felt like in the end that this SHF one was definitely, you know, the way to go. So I decided to go with her. I got mine off of Amazon, in case you guys are wondering. So I believe she is still up there on Amazon. All right. And yeah. But yeah, so we'll put her on the rotating display base real quick. And, you know, all her accessories are laid out here as well. And so, you know, I tried to get her in that kind of like samurai stance that she does from the show. And so we'll see that in a 360 motion now. All right, so there she goes, spinning round and round. And yeah, awesome figure, like, you know, overall, man, all around, very, very nice setup, nice articulation. You know, we'll talk about her as we take a closer look. I do have like a few like minor issues with her, but overall, I think she is a solid representation of what we saw in the Ahsoka series. So yeah, I love this figure, man. I've been like dying to unbox her, man. I've had her in my room for like almost 2 months now. Just looking at her on my shelf, I'm like, yeah, your day's coming. We are going to review you thoroughly. But yeah, really nice figure, man. Love it. All right, so we'll get one more full turn, and then we'll take a closer look at her accessories. So here we go. Boom. All right. Excellent. So let's move her aside real quick. Real quick, before we get into accessories, I want to show you guys, she does come with this really cool background as well inside the packaging. So you got this really nice backdrop for her in case you want to use that to display. And I really do like it, man. I love the way it looks. You know, I might be getting a little bit of a glare on it, but hopefully you can see like it's got a really nice kind of like mural style painting look for, you know, Ahsoka's head. And then you have her down here with both of her sabers like posing. Very nice pose. That's a beautiful backdrop. Sometimes I forget to show things off like this, you know, because SHF usually does put some kind of like background or something. And Mayfix does that from time to time as well. So very nice backdrop. I wanted to mention that. And I figured I'd use it for the review just because her lightsabers being white, you know, I was afraid that would get kind of like drowned out with this, you know, white background. So I figured I'd have like some kind of darker color to hopefully so you guys could see those better. So, you know, I got the box that she came with. Right, you can see all those product shots again, but I decided to put this little backdrop in front of it, and I thought that would be a nice little way to get the review going. But anyways, let's take a look at her accessories. So you already saw she has one of the lightsabers in her hand already. I'll show that in a minute. Here is her other lightsaber, the shorter one. And you can see some beautiful detail on this. Very nicely done. As far as I could tell, it is show accurate. So like the nice metallic silver paint, you got those little diamonds in there, and like, you know, the silver, a little bit of yeah, like silver. You got those circles, and you got like the darker you know, kind of like gunmetal gray color for those rings at the top and the bottom. And then you have this nice ring that is able to clip onto her belt, which is very nice. I'll show you that in a second. But yeah, nice length for this shorter blade. And it's done in a nice, you know, translucent kind of white color. Definitely not like all the way clear. It looks white, but it has a bit of you know, transparency to it. So that's really nice. So really nice choice there. And then she comes with swooshy effects for her lightsabers, which look very nice. So you get 2 swooshy effects, and they are specific to you know, each saber. So I tried putting this big one, you know, this bigger swoosh effect into the saber that you just saw, the shorter one. It does not fit, so they are keyed to fit into their, you know, respective sabers. So this only goes into the bigger one that she's holding right now. But yeah, very nice. Again, nice, you know, swooshy looking motion. You can kind of see like where the leading edge of the blade is. You know, it might not show up well in camera, but you can kind of see like the line of like where the leading edge of the saber is. So very nice there. Very similar. It's like a Black Series swoosh effect. So yeah, that. And you have another one again, of course, for her smaller saber, which is again done very nicely and keys into that particular hilt. You have her alternate faceplate. So again, you just plug these in. This is very nice. This is like obviously a very scene specific thing for her, but this is for that scene where she's training with Anakin, and obviously she gets the Sith eyes as she kind of like puts the saber to him, and she's like showing him like, hey, I ain't playing around. I choose to live. All right, so spoilers if you haven't seen Ahsoka yet. My apologies, but watch the show, man. Definitely watch the show. That's all I can say. But very, very nice detail, nice paintwork for all of the faces on her. I like how they kind of gave her like a subtle shading like around the eyes and the nose for all the faces, as well as like her lips. Very, very nice color in the lips, and then the white paint for like, the kind of like tattoo pattern around her face is very clean. Really, really nice paintwork there. So you have that alternate head, and then you also have this angry alternate face, and this one is really nicely done. I really like this. I still see a lot of like Rosario in there. The only thing that may not be great about it is like the kind of orangish color in between her teeth. Definitely not the best looking, but it's not that bad. I can overlook it. But I like how her nose is even like crinkled up here to show you that she's like really like growling, and like the furrowed brow and everything. Like she's angry right here. So I like this look a lot. Again, excellent paintwork on that. And then you have the hollow ball map right here. Right, so this is obviously the map that leads to Peridia that Morgan Elsbeth was after, as well as Balin's Skull. And you can take a guess as to who I'll be reviewing next on the channel, all right? But yeah, very, very nice hollow map here. Looks very, very good. I love the color. I think they nailed it. It's kind of like in this washed out like gold color. And then all the line work for the patterning in there looks very, very good. And it's kind of like recessed into the ball, so that looks great. Very small piece, so be sure not to lose that. And then you have the split version of it, because I won't spoil it for you, but I mean this figure kind of spoils it. Basically, at some point in the show, it does get split. I won't tell you who splits it, but I really like the inner details of this, of like each half of the ball. How you can see like the kind of clockwork gear-looking stuff inside of it. That looks really, really nice. So they give it to you on this like little piece. This isn't from the show. I think that's just so that you wouldn't lose it, because they are pretty small pieces, but they are on like very thin pieces of plastic on the end of this. So all you would do is basically snip that off to have, the individual, half spear pieces. But yeah, very, very nicely done there. And then you get her alternate hands. So you have two kind of open, maybe force using hands like this. Kind of like, fingers curled in. But yeah, very, very nice paintwork on these, the orange, and then the blue and silver for like those little like overlaid pieces on top. And then obviously like the brown, fingerless gloves. Very, very nice. Looks very, very good. Excellent details. So you get two of those. You get two kind of palm using hands, or like maybe relaxed hands. But I feel like she might maybe use the force for these as well. And again, very nice paintwork on those. Pretty nice paintwork. Like overall, pretty clean. It definitely has like that hand painted look for like her fingers and whatnot. But it's still pretty clean overall, and it's gonna look really good displayed on her. So you have two of those, and then out of the package, she comes with two fist hands. So, I swapped these out for her gripping hands for the lightsaber, obviously, but she does have two fist hands, which are very nicely painted as well. So, yeah, and that's all of her hands. And so, yeah, let's go ahead and pull Ahsoka back into frame. All right, so I'm going to take her lightsaber out of her hand here. And as you can see, I wanted to demonstrate that she is able to get two hands on the saber, so that you can recreate that, nice samurai-like pose that she does a lot, when she's about to battle someone, the two-handed pose. So yeah, you can achieve that. But yeah, real quick, let's take her lightsaber out. All right. And it was a little bit difficult getting the lightsabers in her hands at first, her gripping hands, but a little heat might help you, loosen the hands up a bit. Because her fingers are in somewhat of a hard plastic, but they do have flex to them, which is nice. So you might just have to like kind of work it a little bit, but you should be able to get it in her hands eventually. Just trying to get her to let go. There you go. Thank you, Ahsoka. Just trying to pull it out. Yeah, she does have kind of a tight grip on it, so just be aware of that. But so I can get this out of her hand. Let go, Ahsoka, let go. I know you want to wield it. I know. I gotta show the people. All right, there we go. So here is her other lightsaber. To see that now by itself. Again, very beautifully designed hilt. Looks very show accurate to me. I like, the grip here, the black for the grip. The subtle like gold color at the top by the emitter there. Looks very nice. Push the blade in a little bit more. Very nice, again, metallic silver, and you've got like the little, loop for it to loop onto her belt. And yeah, just very, very nicely detailed all the way around, and a nice longer, blade, which looks very, very nice. Good length to it. So yeah, that's her other one. And these do obviously clip onto her belt, so I'll just show you the little one, the shorter one. She has these, hooks on the side of like her belt right there, so you can just kind of clip that on. And I believe she always has them like with the curve kind of leading to the back, so that's how I, put them on her. But yeah, there we go. So let's get into articulation. Play and display. Let me plug this other hand back on her real quick. Now I will mention that the hands were a lot easier to change out, at least to get off of her, compared to like Maul and Obi-Wan, which are, obviously older figures from SHF. Now putting her new hand on was still a little bit difficult. Wasn't a big fan of that because the pegs are so small. It is kind of hard to plug them in. But, I'd say they definitely made an improvement between, this release and again, like the Obi-Wan or the Maul. So that's just something to note. I want you guys to be aware that, swapping the hands out on her I found was a lot easier compared to them. So they are making improvements, which is what we like to see. But yeah, pulling Ahsoka back in here. Great, great details. We'll look at that in a minute. For play and display, her head can only look up so much because the Leku is kind of a hard piece. It's not going to allow her to look up all that far. So she is a little bit limited looking up, but she gets some decent range. And you can also, use the diaphragm joint to help her out, like arch her back a little more. And then looking down, pretty good. Again, the Leku get a little bit in the way of that, but she can look down decently, which is nice. So that's good. And obviously she has rotation side to side. You could probably do a full 360 if you were to like move the Leku all the way around her shoulder and stuff, but I'm not going to waste time doing that. But yeah, she has like a little bit of leaning as well for some expressive posing, so that is really good. Nice wiggle room on there. For the arms, you can windmill a full 360. Nice tight joints, as you can hear. No bicep swivel, of course, but we do have a little bit of swivel, from the shoulder, that shoulder joint. And she does have a butterfly, cap joint that allows the arms to come pretty nicely forward. That's okay. Could be a little bit better. And then as far as like extending to the back, yeah, she has some pretty decent range going backwards. You can see it from behind how that works. She's got some decent range reaching behind her, so that's pretty good. Butterfly joint will definitely help you get some nice poses in there. All right. She's got double jointed elbows that allow her to get about that much bend. I was hoping for a little bit more, but that's not too bad. So you have that extending back out, and then you have, ball and hinge, pretty standard for your wrist. So you can get up and down, side to side, pretty much all the way around, pretty much any direction, which is going to be really good for her saber poses. For the diaphragm joint, she can crunch forward only about that much, which is, minimal, but it's all right. It's definitely better than nothing. And then leaning back, She gets like that. It can get a little gappy just because this is like a separate piece down here. So just be aware of that. But yeah, she can lean pretty nice side to side, like really, really nice actually. If you're like utilizing all of that joint. And then some wiggle room, of course. She has rotation at the top, which is very nice. She can kick forward very, very nicely as well, which is really good. So I like that. Nice high kick. She's very, very flexible. All right. Kicking back, she goes about that far, which is pretty decent. Definitely better than on Marvel Legends by a bit. And then her knees are not where you expect them to be. So you probably expect her knees to be like somewhere around here, right? Like just above like the shin guards. They're actually up here in this like cut in the pants. But that allows her to get some really, really nice bending. Like her flexibility is amazing. She can bring her foot almost up to like her shoulders. So that's pretty impressive. All right. So I know some people don't like how that cut looks and like that really long like extension of the pants, but I personally don't mind it just because she's able to get so much range out of it. And then you have a thigh swivel, so you can rotate the thigh, and it is a really nice thigh swivel. Like she can really move around that joint due to like how it's cut and engineered. And then for the feet, you can hinge all the way down to her tippy toes. You can kick up about that far, which is pretty decent before it hits the shin pad. And then you can swivel. You got a nice ankle rocker in there, side to side. And you also do have rotation side to side on that ball, which is really nice. You can rotate the foot side to side there. And kicking out to the side, she can almost get a full splits, which is really, really nice. So yeah, Ahsoka here is a badass, right? As she should be. So yeah, her range is pretty nice, you know, all around. Very, very nice stuff. Yeah, so bringing her in for a last, you know, nice close look. Looking at some of the details on her and the paint work, very, very nicely done, man. I mean, just look at all the details. The silver for her buckle, these little tassel pieces, the wraps on her arms, very, very nicely done. The blue and kind of like white color for her gauntlets, and then the silver for like on top of her hand there. Very nice. And it's a nice matte finish for like her leku, like the kind of like washed out white color with the blue. It's almost like a purplish blue, which is nice for like a live action Ahsoka. And then you've got all this nice texture etched into like the side of her, you know, this like little piece that hangs down by her side. Very, very nice. You got some tassels in the back made out of a soft plastic, so these can kind of like move and get out the way. But yeah, very nice texture in her pants. Her pants are like very textured. Hopefully you can see that. Nice wrinkles sculpted into there. Coming around to the other side. Yeah, she's got some really beautiful details all around, even in like in the upper tunic here. And yeah, this is kind of like a softer plastic or whatnot. And then you have like the gray shirt underneath, which looks pretty good. But yeah, that face sculpt, man, is just beautiful. Very, very nice likeness to Rosario. I would say definitely a lot better than the Mayfex version. Although I will say the Mayfex version, again, does look better in person. I have seen it in person. And I think like when you compare it to like videos online or like, you know, photos, it doesn't quite do it justice. So you have to see it in person before you make your decision, I would say. But it is a pretty, you know, it's a decent figure, but I think this one definitely has like the better likeness. Now, I think I'm gonna have to do a separate video for size comparisons. Unfortunately, I hate when I have to do that, but I promised you guys I'll make it quick because I need to pick the winner for my Maximum Spider-Man giveaway right now anyway. So yeah, I will be back with you guys momentarily, but yeah. I figure, yeah, it'll just be easier if I can, you know, clear up a little space and then make a full size comparison. So, yeah, I apologize for not getting it all in this review, but I'll have that up soon. So thank you guys for watching this part 1, and I'll see you in part 2. Peace.